Queen Sylvie of the multiple award-winning The Queen Sylvie Show. You want to expand and get noticed? Then come outside your box and into our world. Internet advertising has a real impact on global awareness and even sales, so let's make an impact together. Offering for a limited time advertising and sponsorship packages that excel your purpose. So contact Queen Sylvie or Smooth Tim for the exciting opportunities that awaits. Yeah.
Are you tired of driving around a dirty car? Say hello to the ultimate solution for your car. Quick Auto Detail, home, work, or wherever. Their mobile car spa will clean and shine your car anytime and anywhere. Their products are gentle on your car's paint, and they use only the highest quality materials. Book your appointment now.
Hey kids, how would you like to hear this on the screen instead of the great show you came to see? That's what you sound like. Honest. Please cooperate and do your part in keeping this theater quiet so everyone, including you, can enjoy it. Remember, lots of adults and kids, too, paid admission to enjoy the show. We must insist on absolute quiet.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? It's time for the final countdown. The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's rock. Hey, it is Smooth Tim, and thank you so very much for dropping by and spending another hump day with me on Tim's Tidbits. Of course, there's still a whole lot going on and around the world, you know. Excuse me. I see the Israel conflict over in Gaza is expanding a little bit, and Iran's involved. So we'll see what happens. Israel-Iran lobbing missiles back and forth at each other, and I know the U.S. has brought some military strength over into the area to aid and assist. So hopefully that thing cools out a bit. I know the current administration has asked them to take a pill, but we'll see if Israel listens to that. It sure would be nice if they would just roll that back a bit. Anyhow, yeah, there's still things going on, you know, with Ukraine, Russia popping, missiles back and forth at each other. And that's going to be a never-ending conflict for a while until something can happen. And, still have things happening in North Korea, South Korea. In fact, North Korea was blowing up some transportation roads leading into South Korea the other day. So they have absolutely no way, I guess, to get commodities, whatever resources back and forth in between. So it looks like that border is now being closed. Anyhow, say in the good old US of A, about 3 weeks away now, we have an election coming up, and, it's quite a hellfire, actually. You listen to the political ads going back and forth. They were talking about, in Ohio, the record number of advertisement, the amount of money that is being spent on the Senate race. There's all kinds of mega money involved into this race, and there's a reason probably mega money is involved in this race, and I'm sure y'all are smart enough to figure that out. But hey, let's get into this a little bit. Anyhow, Trump did an interview and was asked about, what would be his plan, to try to clean things up in the government, since he sees them as being so damn chaotic. So let's get into this video and come right back and chat about Don.
We have the greatest military in the world, but you have to know how to use them. You have to know how to use them. but I protect you against outside enemies. But, you know, I always say we have the outside enemy, so you can say China, you can say Russia, you can say Kim Jong-un, you can say, but that's not, it's going to be fun. If you have a smart president, no problem. It's the enemy from within, all the scum that we have to deal with that hate our country. That's a bigger enemy than China and Russia.
I think the bigger problem is the enemy from within, not even the people that have come in and destroying our country. By the way, totally destroying our country. The towns, the villages, they're being inundated. But I don't think they're the problem in terms of election day. I think the bigger problem are the people from within. We have some very bad people. We have some sick people, radical left lunatics. And I think they're and it should be very easily handled by, if necessary, by National Guard, or if really necessary, by the military.
Whether we'll have a peaceful election. He said, quote, bigger problems are the people from within, and if issues should arise, quote, it should be handled, quote, handled if necessary by the National Guard, or really necessary by the military. Is that a justifiable use of those assets?
Well, is it a justifiable use of those assets if they're rioting and looting and burning cities down to the ground? Of course it is, right? I think the question is it a justifiable use of assets depends on what's actually happening. I think as we've seen, and again, I want to be clear here, I'm not painting the entire Democratic Party with a broad brush. I'm painting the leadership and the far-left activists. But we saw this in the summer of 2020. We certainly saw some of this after the election of 2016. There is a core group of far-left activists who are willing to threaten, harass, and commit violence against their fellow citizens. If that happens, if you have a major reaction to an election in 2024, of course you ought to commit law enforcement resources to bring order back to our cities.
What did he mean by...
Wow, we had a major reaction to the election in 2020, and then maybe we should have used our resources to do something about it. Thought we did, and then everybody's complaining that these innocent patriots are sitting in prison for doing absolutely nothing. But interestingly enough, let's see, how would he do that? You know, you got to ask yourself, how would he do this? You know, the citizens of the United States who... what they would consider left-wing activists who doesn't necessarily agree with their administrative ideals. He's already said that he's willing to immediately deport any pro-Palestinian activists. You know, if you protest, if you're out there on campus and you're protesting, you're pro-Palestinian, no matter what, if you take an alternate view than this administration, you know what's going to happen to you? He's already said it. He's talking about invoking the Alien and Sedition Act of 1798. You're like, yeah, the Alien and Sedition Act of 1798. Tim, what the hell are you talking about? This is what Trump wants to reinvoke. So if you're a little bit to the left or he doesn't like what you say, what the hell can he do about it? He could reinvoke this.
In 1794, when Federalist President George Washington signed a proclamation of neutrality during a war between England and France, the Jay Treaty would improve relations with England while angering the French. When James Monroe and two other diplomats sailed to France to negotiate for peace, French politicians known as XYZ demanded a bribe before negotiations could begin, which infuriated the young American Republic to no end. By the time John Adams was sworn in as the second U.S. president in 1796, France had seized more than 300 American ships, leading many to believe or insist that war with France was imminent and unavoidable. Amid mounting fears of enemy spies infiltrating American society, the majority Federalist Party, who supported a strong central government, prevailed over the minority Republican or Jeffersonian Party in passing 4 new laws, which collectively became known as the Alien and Sedition Acts. Since many recent immigrants and new citizens favored the Republicans, and their insistence that power remain with the individual states, Congress passed the Naturalization Act, which increased residency requirements for U.S. citizenship from 5 years to 14. The Alien Enemies Act went on to permit the government to arrest and deport all male citizens of enemy nations in the event of war, while the Alien Friends Act allowed the president to deport any non-citizen suspected of plotting against the government, even if the country was not at war. The Sedition Act, on the other hand, took direct aim at anyone who spoke ill against President Adams or the Federalist-dominated government, effectively muzzling dissent from the Republican side of the aisle. While Republican lawmakers complained that the Sedition Act violated the First Amendment freedom of speech clause in the Constitution, the Federalists pushed the bill through Congress, which was signed into law by Adams on July 14, 1798, with an expiration date set for March 3, 1801, which was the last day of his term in office. By the law's expiration, U.S. federal courts prosecuted no less than 26 individuals under the Sedition Act, nearly all of them editors of Republican newspapers who opposed the Adams administration. The prosecutions fueled fierce debate over the definition and meaning of a free press, as well as the rights that should be afforded to political opposition parties in the United States. In the end, widespread anger over the Alien and Sedition Acts fueled Jefferson's victory over Adams in the bitterly contested presidential election of 1800, while their passage would go down in history as one of the biggest mistakes of the Adams presidency. By 1802, all of the Alien and Sedition Acts had either expired or been repealed, save for the Alien Enemies Act, which was amended by Congress in 1918 to include women.
There you
have it. The Alien and Sedition Acts.
The Alien and Sedition Acts. There you go. Yeah. Just remember all that kind of flick. So when they're talking about Republicans, those are now Democrats. When they're talking about Federalists, those are now Republicans. They're all kind of twisted up sometime later on down the line. But in any regards, yeah, those are the ideals. And that is what Trump would like to reinvoke when he talks about this mass deportation of the illegal immigrants. Is that, yeah, Alien and Seduction Act of 1798, but you need to listen carefully because that also includes anybody that he would perceive as an enemy, which in the aforehand video we heard him say that he doesn't like some of these left-wing people that are in D.C., so deport them. Get them out of here, right? Get rid of your enemies. Unbelievable. Anyhow, hey, Trump was in Detroit giving a speech last week, and interestingly enough, they said, I don't even know if this is a Freudian slip or what, but he's in Detroit and he's talking about how miserable the country can be, and especially if it ends up like Detroit. So let's listen to this little video that got put together from our friends over there at the Lincoln Project.
You want to know the truth? It'll be like Detroit. Our whole country will end up being like Detroit if she's your president. You're going to have a mess on your hands.
They said we were dead.
Detroit waving the white flag, the city filing for bankruptcy.
That our best days were behind us. That living here is like
living in hell.
But you know what we said? We said, F that. We rebuilt ourselves. We looked out for each other, got our hands dirty, and put in the hard work. And this guy, he don't know anything about that. We are a city of winners, of up-and-comers, of builders, the Motor City. Bigger and better. Here, we believe in freedom. We don't bow down to nobody, and we never will. And so what Donald Trump doesn't understand, or care to learn, is that when he said,
our whole country will end up being like Detroit if she's your president,
that he should be so goddamn lucky.
He should be so damn lucky. Right. And I couldn't believe that. I don't know. Is that, how do you get up there? You're addressing, the businesses in Detroit and tell them that their city sucks. I don't know, man. Unbelievable. Crazy. But anyhow, just so you know, Detroit is not the only city in the United States that sucks, according to Donald. Listen to this.
We just rented Madison Square Garden. We're going to make a play.
We're going to make a play for New York. Hasn't been done in a long time. It hasn't been done in many decades, but we're going to make, how could New York be run worse than it is, right? With all the problem, everything is corrupt in New York, and we're going to make a play, and let's see. I mean, I think that, you know, the migrants have taken over Madison Avenue. They've taken over Fifth Avenue. They've taken over the parks. The kids can't play Little League. You know, it sounds like a trivial thing. It's a big deal when you have a son that's a Little League player and he can't play. So we're going to go Madison Square Garden.
There you go, New York, you suck too. Because your kids can't play Little League Baseball and some other activities. You know, yeah. Donald used to be able to go, and he was telling how he used to go and sell cookies. Or lemonade, something like that. Lemonade it was, yeah. He would sell lemonade on the corner when he was growing up lying ass. But yeah, that was one of his stories. But anyhow, New York, Detroit, you suck, according to Don. You know what else sucks? You know, you talk about, and they talk about freedom of the press, and you know how Don's always talking about how the media hates him. He was set up, especially on the debate that he had with Kamala on September 11th. It was September 9/11 for Don. He crashed and burned in that whole thing too. But in any regards, yeah, he said that the ABC just totally set the whole thing up, and he told the FCC that they should revoke ABC's license because of how they manipulated the debate and made him look bad. And, you know, yeah, don't make Don look bad. You know, don't be foolish. That is stupid to do. Because they actually asked him, you know, about Google. And, you know, his opinion on Google. And this was, he was on a show. Let me look, what was that? Oh, the Economic Club of Chicago. And they was asking him about social media and his thoughts on it. And listen to this.
Yes. Maybe we can change the subject to technology, seeing you wouldn't answer about the Federal Reserve. The U.S. Justice Department is thinking about breaking up Alphabet, as Google likes to be known now. Should Google be broken up?
I just haven't gotten over something the Justice Department did yesterday, where Virginia cleaned up its voter rolls and got rid of thousands and thousands of bad votes, and the Justice Department sued them that they should be allowed to put those bad votes and illegal votes back in and let the people vote. So I haven't gotten over that. A lot of people have seen that. They can't even believe it.
The question is about Google, President Trump.
Yeah, look, Google's got a lot of power. They're very bad to me, very, very bad to me. I mean, I can speak from that standpoint. They only have bad stories. In other words, if I have 20 good stories and 20 bad stories, and everyone's entitled to that, you'll only see the 20 bad stories. And I called the head of Google the other day, and I said, I'm getting a lot of good stories lately, but you don't find them in Google. I think it's a whole rigged deal. I think Google's rigged just like our government is rigged all over the place.
You would break them up, in other words?
I'd do something, but you have to have, look, I give them a lot of credit. They've become such a power. It's such a power, and you got to give them credit for that. How they became a power is, you know, really the discussion. At the same time, it's a very dangerous thing because we want to have great companies. We don't want China to have these companies.
Well,
right now, China is afraid of Google. Right now, you know, China is a very powerful, very smart group of people. I will tell you that from very personal experience.
There's an example of a China.
Okay, so yeah, he doesn't like any place that talks bad. Zuckerberg, right? Zuckerberg, isn't he got Google? I'm not sure. But yeah, Google, watch out, he's coming for you too. And maybe he'll get you on that Alien and Seduction Act of 1798 for not publicizing good things about him. Anyhow, also, when he was at that Economic Club of Chicago, they asked him about, have you been talking to Putin? Have you still have a relationship with Putin? Because he loves to brag about his relationship with Kim Jong-un and Putin and all these crazy ass leaders. Check it out.
Big things. I have to mention that.
Yeah, you just mentioned Putin though, and this has been this controversy of the past week. Can you say yes or no whether you have talked to Vladimir Putin since you stopped being president?
Well, I don't comment on that, but I will tell you that if I did, it's a smart thing. If I'm friendly with people, if I have a relationship with people, that's a good thing, not a bad thing, in terms of a country. He's got 2,000 nuclear weapons, and so do we. China has a lot less, but they'll catch us within 5 years.
That sounds very
if I
much
have a
like,
relationship,
that sounds very much like
I don't talk about.
you did talk
I don't
to him.
talk about. No, I don't talk about that.
You
I don't-
talk
I
about
don't
talking
ever
to
say it.
Netanyahu, you talk
But
about
I can tell
talking
you
to
what,
these people.
Russia has never had a president that they respect so much, but more importantly, or less importantly, I guess, I went into Russia and people said, oh, he likes Putin and Putin likes him. Let me tell you, the first thing I did was terminated Nord Stream 2.
So, yeah. And he probably did, and he was asking too about those COVID tests. And so, yeah, he didn't want to answer, did he send COVID tests over there when we were scrambling for COVID tests? So, unbelievable. Hey, you know, the guy's never going to give you a straight answer. He could paint himself in a corner and somehow get out of it. Unbelievable. He is very slippery. But anyhow, you sat there and have to slap your head in yourself in the head rather and say, what the hell is wrong with America? And I found the answer for you. And here's a video explaining what is wrong with America.
I'm going to leave you now with one last thought, which is what's wrong with America. Because I know, and you don't. And I stumbled on it by accident. And it's certainly not what I expected. Stopped at a McDonald's. It was 1 a.m, and I drove into up to the box. I was thinking of having McNuggets because that seemed like the healthy choice. They had a new menu item. I did not know this. Buttermilk tenders. Well, this really piqued my interest. So I said to the box, do you know the difference between the McNuggets and the tenders? And this stumped the box. It went radio silent. I thought the box might need a little cow cuddling. And so finally the box answered. Took a while, but it said, well, a McNugget is a McNugget. And a tender is a tender. Well, armed with that information, I threw caution to the wind. I'm kind of a foodie, so I said, hey, bring on the tenders. I drove up to the window. The employee came to the window. I said, don't go in yet, please. Before you go, tell me, do you know the difference between a McNugget and a tender? Without any hesitation. The employee said, well, the tender tastes a bit more like chicken.
And that's what's wrong with America today. Nothing tastes like it should. And the people in the service industry have no idea what the hell they're talking about, so don't even ask. Oh, goodness. Hey, let's get on to something. Let's get on to a little crazy video. And I saw this happening in Chicago, and I was like, you know, atypical. I think we've seen this happen down into another city, and I can't remember where in the heck it was at the this particular moment, but a few months back. And that was during the pandemic, and people were hitting freight trains, right? Well, it seems in Chicago, the trend is back.
It was a chaotic afternoon along the Union Pacific tracks in the Austin neighborhood on the city's far west side. This all started just before 4 this afternoon. Take a look. Chopper 7 was over the scene near the corner of Lake and Lockwood. People were scrambling into open freight cars, climbing over each other to get to boxes of different items. They were then tossing them out onto the ground. Many of cases were put into waiting vehicles, which then drove off. Police did arrive on the scene, but at first they were unable to slow those looters. Eventually, more police officers
Looks
did
like a
arrive.
bunch of
At
flat
one
screen
moment,
TVs,
officers
right?
tried to chase down suspects and pulled their weapons. We watched that live at the top of our 5 o'clock news. There are no reports of any shots being fired. The scene eventually calmed down. Union Pacific officials tell us they are on the scene there with Chicago police officers. This is not the first time freight trains have been broken into along that very stretch of track. And more than an hour after all of this started, there were still more people breaking into train cars. Chopper 7 captured this video just about 15 minutes ago. UP officials from the rails say burglaries are a serious safety risk to their workers as well as the general public. No word yet from police if any arrests were made, and if so, how many.
What?
I can't believe it's not even Black Friday yet and those people are out shopping in those cars. Shame on them. Shame, shame, shame on y'all. Speaking of shopping, I don't know, what the heck is going on, but there is something major going on, especially when it comes to your pharmacy outlets. I know you guys have been seeing some CVS and some other pharmacies going out, but guess who's joining the long list? Walgreens. Yep.
In today's Money Watch, the pharmacy giant Walgreens plans to close about 1,200 stores over the next 3 years as retail sales decline. Nancy Chen breaks down what's behind the closures and what it could mean for you. Nancy, good morning.
Nate, good morning to you. 500 of those closures will be in the next year. And ultimately, about 1 in 7 Walgreens stores will shut down as part of this wave. Walgreens has not announced the locations of those stores yet, but the country's second largest drugstore chain has struggled for years. In May, it cut prices on more than 1,000 products, hoping to appeal to customers looking to save money. Now, Walgreens has also been dealing with other challenges, including rising operating costs and low reimbursement rates for pharmacy care. We should point out it is not the only big chain struggling here. Rite Aid shutting down more than 800 stores after emerging from bankruptcy protection this year. And by the end of this year, CVS will have closed as many as 900 stores over the past 3 years. It's part of a larger trend driven in part by increased competition from online pharmacies, mail-in options, and stores like Target and Walmart, Nate.
Nancy, what can people do if they're concerned about their local pharmacies?
Yeah,
Which mean everything to them.
It does, especially for prescriptions. It's hard to say right now because we don't know what locations are closing, but one expert we talked to said that if your local pharmacy is closing down, there are options like online alternatives as well.
The line's already 3 deep every time I go to pick up a prescription. This
right about
not
that,
good.
Nancy.
Exactly
Thank you so much.
I noticed that too.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Rite Aid, CVS, and now you got Walgreens, and good luck finding it seems to me your biggest stores, your Walmarts and your Kroger's and things like this are going to be able to sustain, having a pharmacy. And I understand, a lot of people do order online, and that makes absolutely perfect sense to me. You can, you're not paying the cost of a box store, rather, that has, overhead employees, just as I've mentioned in that video. So it's going to be a little bit of a discount price for you to mail order your prescriptions. I still think a lot of people like to go in and talk to a pharmacist. So I hope that doesn't disappear, but there's going to be some pharmacy deserts around, and it'll be interesting to see, what was they saying? Let me look at that number real quick. I wrote that down, that they were talking about closing 1 in 7 of the Walgreens pharmacies. So, where do they pick and choose, and how do they pick and choose? And, especially people that may be in a poor neighborhood, how are they going to get to the pharmacy? It's going to create a lot of chaos, and we'll see what the future holds, people. Anyhow, let's jump into a little area that, I covered a little bit about last week, and to get in a little bit of idea, everybody has a task. And whether that be, with family, taking care of a family member, an elderly family member, somebody that is home for one reason and or the other, a project at work, and or a special cause. You're with a group that's trying to establish a cause and raise money. Anyhow, there is you got to have your team together, because one person is never going to be able to do that alone. And we covered a little bit of that last week, but I wanted to get into a little bit more about, How do you build a team so that you can get these projects done, so you can take care of family members? Again, you need to have members of this team on your side so you can get to it. But, how do you select who does what project? How do you put that together? Check it out.
Plus, I just think this is really interesting. So I've worked with the Navy SEALs, and I asked them, like, how do you pick like the guys that go on SEAL Team 6? Right? Because they're the best, the best, the best, the best. And they drew a graph for me. And on one side, they wrote the word performance, and on the other side, they wrote the word trust. The way they define the terms is performance on the battlefield and performance off the battlefield. So this is your skills. This is, did you make your quarterly earnings, however you want to translate it, right? Performance, it's traditional. This is, how are you off the battlefield? What kind of person are you? The way they put it is, I may trust you with my life, but do I trust you with my money and my wife? They're SEALs. This is what they told me. Nobody wants this person, the low performer of low trust, of course. Of course, everybody wants this person, the high performer of high trust, of course. What they learned is that this person, the high performer of low trust, is a toxic leader and a toxic team member. And they would rather have a medium performer of high trust, sometimes even a low performer of high trust, it's a relative scale, over this person. This is the highest performing organization on the planet, and this person is more important than this person. And the problem in business is we have lopsided metrics. We have 1,000,001 metrics to measure someone's performance and negligible to no metrics to measure someone's trustworthiness. And so what we end up doing is promoting or bonusing toxicity in our businesses, which is bad for the long game because it eventually destroys the whole organization. The irony is, it's unbelievably easy to find these people. Go to any team and say, who's the asshole? And they'll... they will all point to the same person. Equally, if you go to any team and say, who do you trust more than anybody else? Who's always got your back? And when the chips are down, they will be there with you. They will also all point to the same person. It's the best gifted natural leader who's creating an environment for everybody else to succeed, and they may not be your most individual highest performer. But that person, you better keep them on your team.
There you go. You want somebody you can trust. And you can have a high performer that can get the job done, but can you trust them to get the job done? So get some people that you can actually trust on your team to perform. They may not perform always to your expectations, but and there's a trick to that we'll get into later on as far as, setting goals and expectations and realistic achievements for your team. But anyhow, yeah, trust over performance, people. Get people on your team you can trust. And I found a cute little video of, what happens if you have some members of your team that just aren't putting out like they should. Yay, team, go team. No, hey, seriously, no. Hey, you got somebody dragging your team behind? Go someplace else where you want to be. Unfortunately, sometimes that's how it has to be. And when you get a group of people that want to do it right, you might be surprised at how good they can be. Check this out. This is unbelievable. One more time. Watch how quickly this is done. These guys are unbelievable. Everybody has a job. Everybody does it effectively. Everybody can trust the other person to get the job done. Boom, teamwork works. Yeah, again, hey, we can get anything done. Doesn't matter what the activity may be, whether it be at home, at work, or at play, or with an organization. Develop your team and make sure you got the right people on the team, and look for that guy who is trustworthy. Not necessarily the super high performer. Oh, anyhow, hey, you know what I found on browsing through Facebook and YouTube is this interesting video, and I thought it was interesting because it made you think, what would happen if AI rewrote some of our really most notable movies? And check this out. Hey, I'm recording it. I'll call you right back.
Get back here!
Our share.
Let's not stand on ceremony here. Mr. Wayne. Peace has cost you your strength. Victory has defeated you.
Oh, hello.
All righty then. Yeah, it's amazing what they can do. Absolutely amazing what they can do with that stuff. Anyhow, hey, let's get on to another part of the show that I know everybody appreciates, and that is, let's go to dude. Exactly. What the fuck? Let's go back real quick over here to, apparently, somebody who had a tow truck taking their vehicle. They must have hopped inside and decided, no way you're taking my vehicle.
You ain't going nowhere, though. You ain't going nowhere. Call the cops on your phone. Call the cops. Call the cops on your phone, bro. I'm on the phone with the cops. Okay, you're fine. ASAP, I need it. Aggravated assault. Shit! ¡Bájate, bro! ¡Bájate, bro! ¡Bájate, loco! No.
Dude, what the fuck? That was crazy. Yeah, he did not want to be towed. And I wonder what's going to happen. I mean, he did some serious damage to that tow truck, too. So, yeah, besides his own vehicle that he screwed up and the tow truck, I don't know. I think he would have saved a little bit of money if he would have just paid for the damn tow. Probably wasn't $100. I think he did a little bit more damage than that. What do you think? I don't know. Anyhow, hey, let's get on to another favorite part of the show, is our asshole of the week. And it kind of goes back to what's happening now is the politicians are all over the damn place, trying to make sure they get elected. So Harris is all over, Trump's all over. Trump went to Coachella, and he bussed a bunch of people in to his event in Coachella. However, there's one thing that he forgot to do. Check it out.
President Donald Trump gave the people attending his rally what they wanted to hear.
Now, Nebraska, we know it's looking great, okay?
But afterwards, despite having 40 buses, many did not get the ride that they were looking for. Instead, they were stuck on this airport road, miles from their vehicles, with wind chills below freezing.
It was very, very cold. I was there. My feet were frozen.
Mayor Jean Stother said Wednesday she was at the rally and that the Trump campaign, not the city, organized the event. Mayor Stother said one major issue was lack of buses, saying over 22,000 people went inside the event, with thousands more left outside.
The Trump campaign had 40 buses, and that 40 buses were, they picked that number because they thought that that is the amount they needed to transport 10,000 people.
Rally attendees were largely told to park in the South Economy lot at Epley Airport. The distance between that lot and TAC Air, where the event was held, is over 3 miles. That left attendees stranded on the street, some walking, some waiting for a bus. In a response, the Trump campaign said they had plenty of buses, saying because of the sheer size of the crowd, we deployed 40 shuttle buses, double the normal allotment. But local road closures and resulting congestion caused delays. OPD tells 3 News Now that foot traffic on the street also slowed down the buses. Vice President Joe Biden spoke on what happened Wednesday morning, saying it captures the president's whole approach to the pandemic.
He takes a lot of big pronouncements, and he makes a lot of big pronouncements, but they don't hold up. He gets his photo op and then he gets out. He leaves everyone else to suffer the consequence of his failure.
Omaha police also say that some officers were able to take some of the older rally attendees over to their cars themselves. They also said that the last attendee was able to get on a bus at 11:50 p.m. That's just short of 3 hours after President Trump's speech was over.
Yeah, there you go. Well-deserved asshole award. Yeah, you're gonna bus people into an event and then have no transportation back. Make them walk 3 miles in below freezing temperatures. That's real nice of you. Of course, then again, maybe he was thinking about the Alien and Seduction Act of 1798 and gave it a little test on those people in Coachella. Yeah. Anyhow, hey, folks, I am going to wrap it up. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to let you enjoy the rest of your Wednesday evening and just say that, hey, stop by again next week and we'll fill you in on some more information that comes across the desk. There's always something going on. As I said, I'm trying to give you some of the stories, and not everybody always does. So I hope you enjoyed it. And until next week, I am so out of here. I'm going to leave you with a little video from Matthew McConaughey, and you do enjoy the rest of your week. Bye, America.
I'm going to talk to you about some things I've learned in my journey. Most from experience, some of them I heard in passing. Many of them I'm still practicing, but all of them I do believe are true. Life is not easy. It is not. Don't try to make it that way. Life's not fair. It never was. It isn't now, and it won't ever be. Do not fall into the trap, the entitlement trap, of feeling like you're a victim. You are not. Get over it and get on with it. So the question that we've got to ask ourselves is what success is to us, what success is to you. Is it more money? That's fine. I got nothing against money. Maybe it's a healthy family. Maybe it's a happy marriage. Maybe it's to help others, to be famous, to be spiritually sound, to leave the world a little bit better place than you found it. Continue to ask yourself that question. Now, your answer may change over time, and that's fine. But do yourself this favor. Whatever your answer is, don't choose anything that will jeopardize your soul. Prioritize who you are, who you want to be, and don't spend time with anything that antagonizes your character. Be brave, take the hill, but first answer that question, what's my hill? So first, we have to define success for ourselves. And then we have to put in the work to maintain it. Take that daily tally. Tend our garden. Keep the things that are important to us in good shape. Where you are not is as important as where you are. It is just as important where we are not as it is where we are. Look, the first step that leads to our identity in life is usually not, I know who I am. I know who I am. That's not the first step. The first step's usually, I know who I am not. Process of elimination. Defining ourselves by what we are not is the first step that leads us to really knowing who we are. You know that group of friends that you hang out with that really might not bring out the best in you? You know, they gossip too much or they're kind of shady. They really aren't going to be there for you in a pinch. Or how about that bar that we keep going to that we always seem to have the worst hangover from? Or that computer screen, right? The computer screen that keeps giving us an excuse not to get out of the house and engage with the world and get some real human interaction. Or how about that food that we keep eating? Stuff that tastes so good going down, it makes us feel like crap the next week. We feel lethargic and we keep putting on weight. Well, those people, those places, those things, stop giving them your time and energy. Just don't go there. I mean, put them down. And when you do this, when you do put them down, when you quit going there, when you quit giving them your time, you inadvertently find yourself spending more time and in more places that are healthy for you, that bring you more joy. Why? Because you just eliminated the who's, the where's, the what's, and the when's that were keeping you from your identity. Look, trust me, too many options, I promise you this, too many options will make a tyrant of us all. All right, so get rid of the excess, the wasted time. Decrease your options. And if you do this, you will have accidentally, almost innocently, put in front of you what is important to you by process of elimination. Knowing who we are is hard. It's hard. So give yourself a break. Eliminate who you are not first, and you're going to find yourself where you need to be. Instead of creating outcomes that take from us, let's create more outcomes that pay us back, fill us up, keep your fire lit, turn you on for the most amount of time in your future. We try our best, we don't always do our best. Well, architecture is a verb as well. And since we are the architects of our own lives, let's study the habits, the practices, the routines that we have that lead to and feed our success, our joy, our honest pain, our laughter, our earned tears. Let's dissect that and give thanks for those things. And when we do that, guess what happens? We get better at them, and we have more to dissect. Be discerning. Choose it because you want it. Do it because you want to. We're gonna make mistakes. You gotta own them. Then you gotta make amends. And then you gotta move on. Guilt and regret kills many a man before their time. So turn the page, get off the ride. You are the author of the book of your life.